Hey everyone and welcome back to Joyfess Martin's Secret Recipe. Now the library is open and let's talk to Simon, the guy from the restaurant.
Simon, is that really you? I didn't know you read books.
Nah, of course I don't. But I bet it's your first time here too. I admit that I'm very curious about your business here, but I'm afraid I don't have time for chit-chat. Now, if you excuse me...
If we look at the shield and cross arrows, we will see that the
Steel,
arrows
shield, and arrows.
are steel. If we try to take it, we won't be able to.
You shouldn't mess with this, Joyfess. It belongs to the library.
I won't be able to take it as long as she's watching.
And now we came across one of the most common and reoccurring puzzles in adventure games, where we have to distract someone in order to get something. So let's talk to Christina.
Hey, Christina.
Oh, hey, Joyfess. How can I help you?
Is it true that there will be a sun eclipse today?
Yes, it is. And not only that, the collective gravity force of the sun and the moon will cause something else to happen. A great ebb tide will precede the eclipse by an hour or so.
A great ebb tide? How is that different from a regular ebb tide?
It's significantly different in magnitude. If my estimations are correct, it will be intense enough to have water completely recede from the western caves. The caves will be without water. Just imagine.
Wow, now that's something I shouldn't miss.
Let's talk about the steel arms.
Are these arms authentic? We have something in this library from the Steel Age?
You must mean the Iron Age. And no, they're not authentic. They're just here for decoration purposes, although they really are made of steel.
Hey, Christina, guess why I'm here?
It must be something that isn't about books.
One day, Christina, you'll say this to me, and you won't be right. Nice deer head.
I'm afraid it's actually a moose, not a deer, although they both belong to the same family, Cervidae, or deer. Oh, sorry, Joyfess. How rude of me. Who cares whether it's a deer or a fish or whatever it is? Oh, I guess it's very beautiful indeed. Although I have to admit, I can hardly notice it now after spending hundreds of hours inside this hall.
No need to apologize. Hey, who can see all this bewildering beauty and then resist the temptation to read? Except for me, of course. How's life after Martin left? Do you still have visitors coming to the library?
It's kinda sad, but this library might be the one place least affected by him leaving.
Yeah, I know what you mean. The library has never been among the top 10 attractions of the island. Did you ever regret leaving your old library to come and work here?
Not for a second. I actually like it here. True, perhaps. I met with more people and had more conversations in my old library. But this came at a cost. I've always longed to write, but there was no way of doing it back then with all the distractions. This quiet place is exactly what I needed to focus on my writings. I've already had quite a few articles published during the last couple of years. Half of this couldn't have been done in a lifetime had I stayed there.
And let's talk about the scrolls.
Can I find a scroll for myself in your library?
This doesn't quite sound like you, Joyfess. But yes, I can fetch one for you. Give me 1 second. Well, turns out this one has some writing in it.
That's good. It'll work for me.
If you say so.
Thanks.
And now, if we look at the
That's
jar,
it for now.
See you around.
the ink jar she's using,
She keeps dipping her feather every other while.
we can use the scroll on her.
Very nice of you to give me the scroll. Will it be alright if I asked you to change it with that one over there?
Sure, give me just a second.
And now while she's distracted, we will replace the jars. We will put the empty one.
There you go.
Thanks.
No problem. Oh my, I don't believe it. Is the ink jar empty again?
Seems you're writing a lot these days.
Not that much, though. I'll have to refill this. I'll be right back.
And now we can take the arrow.
Ah, just in time. Someone's coming already.
Let's leave and take the test in the village.
Halt! Where are you going, Paleface?
I want to see your chief. I'm ready for the test of truth.
Very well. Guards, take the Paleface to the archery yard. Go on, Paleface, and prove to us that the Great Ones trust you.
And now we just use the steel arrow with the target board with a magnet.
Yup, I'm invincible.
And bullseye.
Sometimes I begin to suspect that the Great Ones do have a sense of humor. But, after all, the Paleface made it. Welcome to our sacred village, Paleface.
And now we are free to roam the village, and if we see here, it's Martin's scroll with a recipe. If we look at it,
Martin's scroll! I need to find a way to take it without the Indians noticing me.
so we see the smoking Indian. We just have to use the sleeping potion with the tobacco container.
Okay, all right. Stepping away from your pipe. Nothing happened, nothing to see. Or maybe something did happen. I'll just have to finish my business before you find out.
And now we can replace the scrolls.
In the name of the Great Ones, what are you doing near our sacred scroll, Paleface?
Nothing, Chief. Look, the scroll's still intact.
It had better be. And you'd better keep more distance from our sacred scroll if you wish us to be nice to you.
Sure thing, Chief. Who needs an ordinary scroll anyway, when I've got the sacred scroll with Martin's recipe?
And we just have to use it
Let's
right
see.
now.
Oh my god! How am I going to read this handwriting? Perhaps the Indian hunters did have a point when they thought it needed an awaited one to read it.
And these are the items we need. We already have the salt and pepper and the olive oil. We just need the buggerfish, the actin, and ultra fresh water. Now, if we click the fish icon on the chief, we will open a new location.
Excuse me, Chief. I guess you might know a kind of fish named booga or bugga fish?
You are talking about the buggerfish. What's Pale Man's business with the buggerfish?
I want to taste it. I've heard it's delicious.
This cannot be. Whoever told you so must be mistaken. Of all the fishes inhabiting this island, this one is especially horrible. It's inedible.
Is there a reason for that?
Bugga means salt in our language. The tales have it that when the Great Ones distributed food among the fishes of the sea, and the buggerfish's turn finally came, they were left with nothing but salt as their food. Since then, the buggerfish have been eating the salt of the sea, and therefore, it was damned to have more salt in its flesh than any other fish in the seas of the world.
That shouldn't be a problem to me. I will carefully wash it until it is as fresh as the stream water of your mountain. So where do I find the buggerfish?
No way, Pale Man. Sons of the Sun have already tried every way in the world to clean the fish, but no earthly endeavor could alter the will and damnation of the Great Ones.
You never know. The Great Ones might as well have been searching for a better kind of food for the poor creature. And who knows? Today might be their lucky day.
I've always thought we didn't understand the Pale Man's way of thinking. But since you're determined, Go and try your luck. You will find the buggerfish in the western caves.
So nothing more to do here. We see that the beach is now open for exploration. But let's gather information about the other ingredient. The acting, that vegetable. If we click the acting icon on William.
Do you happen to know a kind of vegetable called actin?
Sure. It's one of the most rarest yet desired kind of vegetables out there. I often heard Martin wondering in a sad tone why the best things always have to be the rarest as well. He was always so desperate to find a cheap substitute for this fascinating but rare ingredient. You can look at it as today's alchemy. Many farmers were hoping to make great fortunes by growing it in their farms in wholesale quantities, but none of them ever made it. Even James himself was one of those unfortunate dream victims. You may want to ask him as well for more information about acting.
So we know that James is the one to talk about the acting. Let's talk about John's music.
Seems like it takes John some time to change music, doesn't it?
Sometime. It's gonna take him ages before he does such a thing.
Maybe what he needs is a little push.
Go ahead and give it a try, dude. You may be more luckier than I was.
Yeah, blame your bad luck. I bet your bad taste in music must have been the reason.
I'm glad you don't like my music, or else I've had doubt of my own taste. But I'm pretty sure that even you won't be able to resist the literally breathtaking Vera Volticana.
Vera what? Maybe I should write that down.
Don't worry, you don't have to. It's written on a sticky note attached to John's notes above the piano.
So why doesn't he play it at least for once if it's so great?
From what I gather, he said he didn't have the music notation he needed to play, so he couldn't play it. One day I'm going to provide him with it, and then after that, he won't have any more excuses.
That's it for now.
Sure.
And if we talk to him about the ultra fresh water.
Have you ever come across the term ultimately fresh water?
You know what? That sounds familiar. Why don't you check that out in the cooking encyclopedia?
That's it for now.
All right.
And we can use the water icon now with the encyclopedia and we'll get a hint. It says some recipes require using water that is exceptionally free from salt. This is almost only found in freshly harvested rainwater and referred to as ultimately fresh water. So the tip here is freshly harvested rainwater. And let's also click the acting with the encyclopedia. And we see that there is a substitute called Bactin. The only difference is it's of different color. Now, while we're here, we can take the
This
note.
must be the note that William told me about, where he has written down the name of his favorite melody.
If we check it,
It's where William has noted down the name of his favorite melody, Vera Vuitchikana.
so we will solve this puzzle because we need an item. Let's revisit the library.
Good to see you, Joyfess. I was looking for you. I wanted to ask you about the last scroll I gave you. It seems I gave you a draft that I was still working on by mistake.
It doesn't really matter, I think, what we say to her, but
I don't know how to tell you this, but somehow I lost it.
You did? You're a terrible liar, Joyfess. You already used it for something, didn't you?
Well, Okay, there's no point in hiding it from you. I actually used it to get another scroll worshipped by the Indian hunters.
But that scroll... Can I have a look at it, please? The scroll you got from the natives.
Why, sure.
This is it! And with Martin's signature on it, too. How were you able to get it?
It's a pretty long story, but I managed to pass their test of truth, and then it finally ended with distracting the guards and replacing the real Martin scroll with a fake one, the one I got from you.
Great. So all I have to do to restore my scroll is just walk through a few tens of practiced warriors and ask them to let me take what they believe to be written especially to them by the hands of the gods. How can that be any easier?
Kind of, I guess. Sorry about your scroll, but let's look on the bright side. Your scroll is now being worshipped by the natives. Did you ever receive such a compliment from a journal?
Not really, but they'd been worshipping a cooking recipe, so... Fine, I can reproduce what was in that scroll. Not the end of the world. And to be fair, it was me who gave you that. It was my bad, not yours. Although, I'm desperate to know what would make you risk your life for a cooking recipe. Is it really that important? Or can passion for adventures go so far as this?
I'd say it's a little of both.
We don't
That's
really
it for now.
need to
you
continue the
around.
dialogue. So we will show here the note.
Hey, Christina, guess why I'm here?
It seems to be something that is about books.
Ha! Got you, Christina, because this time... Wait. Did you just say that it seemed it was about books?
That's what I said.
Wow, that was very clever of you, but how did you know?
Perhaps because of that piece of paper that you pulled out of your pocket the moment you quizzed me.
Oh,
What is it about?
it's a melody's name, and I need the musical notation of that melody. You'd better read the melody's name yourself, because I'll mess up the pronunciation.
No worries. It's very easy to find what you're looking for by yourself. Try checking the music section near the phonograph. The musical notations are arranged in alphabetical order.
Got it, thanks!
So we just use the note with the music bookshelf and we get the musical notation.
Okay, all stuff here is alphabetically ordered, so this shouldn't be difficult. 1 or 2 minutes and I'm on my way. Let's see. There it is. It will be difficult to take the whole book, so I'll just have to cut out the desired page. Got it.
Now let's go back to the restaurant. And give the musical notation to John, the piano player.
Here, John, try this one.
Now that's what I call music. Way to go, dude.
And we can get the corkscrew now that William is enjoying the music.
So, William, what say you about taking the corkscrew now?
Now that's what I call music. Way to go, dude.
Exactly!
And time to visit the farm to get information about the acting. And we just use the icon on him.
I'm looking for a vegetable called actin. Do you know it?
Oh, don't remind me. I wish I'd have never heard of this awful thing before.
How come? I've heard it's delicious.
Not the taste, but the experience. To start with, the vegetable is so rare that I had to walk my way to the cold mountaintops and search there till I found one. Why did I do that? Because they say it's so freakishly rare and expensive. And I asked myself, why don't I plant some on my own ground and become rich? But that wouldn't do. For 3 consecutive years I tried to grow it in my field, But in all these times, the result was total disappointment. For some reason, Acton now just behaved like its cheap cousin, the Bacton. And no matter for how long you kept it in boiling water, it no longer absorbed salt as it was supposed to do. All my efforts were totally wasted for nothing. What do you want it for?
Let's say I need it for my cooking interests.
Oh, for some reason I thought you were a sailor or some kind of sea adventurer, but I tend to forget so much these days.
Oftentimes, appearance can be misleading, you know. So I guess you were going to tell me which mountaintop it is where you found the Bacton.
Yes, sure. Go to the White Peak. You will probably find it there.
I'll check it out. Thanks.
And now another location is free for exploration, the White Peak. Let's go to the beach first. And into the cave. We can see the buggerfish.
According to the chief, this must be the buggerfish.
And if we look at the rock, we'll get a hint.
A rock? This spot seems just ideal to fix a net here. Once the ebb tide comes, the fish will be caught inside and become an easy catch.
So what we need to do is use the net on the rock.
Let's see what's going to happen if I fix the net using that rock. There! Now the fish are going to be trapped when it's low tide. Huh. What's this? Really? Isn't this what the chief is looking for? The Staff of Rain? It must have fallen down here while he was on his hunting trip. I should bring it back to him. It's big, but luckily nothing's too big for my pocket.
Now let's leave. We can't do anything here. Now let's go to the White Peak for the vegetable. Now we see that this...
Finally! It took forever with that signboard pointing in the wrong direction and... Jesus! What is this? What could a rabbit be doing up here?
It has destroyed the actin.
Some torn pieces from Acton. Maybe it's time to think of plan B. Nope, not usable.
So we can't really pick it up. And if we look at the footsteps...
They're fresh! Whoever made these prints may have something to do with that rabbit.
Now what we can do is use... If we look at the snow...
It's always snowy up here all year round. Not gonna make myself wet and cold for no reason. At least I need something to cover the snow with.
And what better way to do it with the blanket?
This will protect snow from melting for a while.
So this is it, folks, for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, stay tuned for the third and last video of this series. Until then, have a great time.